Hello, my name is Isabella, and I'd like to share the story of how I followed my biggest dream, to learn multiple languages and travel the world. I come from a small town where most people live simple lives and don't often think about faraway places. But from a very young age, I was different. I wanted more than what I saw around me. I used to sit on my bed, staring at the pages of old travel magazines. I would close my eyes and imagine myself walking through Paris, talking to strangers in French, or shopping at a market in Tokyo while speaking Japanese. These weren't just daydreams, they were visions of who I wanted to become. I knew deep down that languages would be the key to open those doors. But I had no idea how I would start. My family didn't have the money to pay for language courses or international travel. Still, I didn't let that stop me. I believed that if I could just find the right tools and stay focused, I could teach myself. That belief became my fuel. I began with English, since it was the most accessible. I found free videos online, listened to music, and repeated lyrics over and over. I even tried writing simple sentences in a notebook every day. Slowly, I started to understand more, and my confidence grew. The first time I said a full sentence in English to someone online, I was terrified. But they smiled and answered me kindly, and that gave me hope. I realized I could really do this. That moment was the start of something much bigger than I ever imagined. Chapter 2: Learning with Passion. Once I got comfortable with English, I wanted more. French had always sounded beautiful to me, so I chose it as my next challenge. I wrote down basic phrases and practiced in front of the mirror. I didn't care if I sounded silly, I just wanted to grow. Each word was a new step toward the life I dreamed of. I didn't use expensive programs or tutors. I found free apps, watched children's shows in French, and even tried talking to myself throughout the day. My phone became my classroom. I recorded myself, listened back, and corrected my pronunciation. It was hard, but I loved every second of it. Some people laughed at me. They said I was wasting my time and that I would never really travel. That hurt, but I didn't let it stop me. I held on to my dream tightly like a treasure. I knew that if I gave up now, I would regret it forever. After French, I explored Italian, then Portuguese. Each language opened my eyes to new cultures, new ways of thinking, and new people. I made friends online from different countries, and we helped each other learn. It was like building a bridge with every word I spoke. Learning languages became my passion. I studied every morning before school and every night before bed. It wasn't just about grammar or vocabulary, it was about connection. I wasn't learning to pass a test. I was learning to live my dream. Chapter 3: The First Journey. After years of saving money from small jobs, I bought my first plane ticket to Paris. I had been studying French for 2 years, and I couldn't believe I was finally going to use it in real life. I packed my bags with excitement and a little fear. It was the first time I had ever left my country. When I arrived in France, everything felt like a dream. The streets, the buildings, the people, it was all so alive. I ordered my first coffee in French, and the waiter understood me perfectly. I almost cried with joy. I had worked so hard for this moment. Every day in Paris brought a new adventure. I visited museums, spoke with locals, and made friends at a language exchange event. Some conversations were hard, and sometimes I didn't understand everything. But I never gave up. I asked questions, I listened carefully, and I kept learning. That trip changed my life. It proved to me that all my effort was worth it. I wasn't just watching videos anymore. I was living in the language. I was part of the world I had only imagined before. And I knew right then that I didn't want this to be my only trip. When I returned home, I had more motivation than ever. I set my next goal, to visit Italy and speak Italian with locals. I had already started learning the basics, but now I wanted to dive deeper. I felt unstoppable. Chapter 4: Living the Dream. Italy was just as magical as I had hoped. I stayed in a small village near Florence where hardly anyone spoke English. It was the perfect place to practice. Every day, I challenged myself to speak only Italian. I made mistakes, of course, but people were kind and encouraging. One day, I joined a local cooking class and met a group of women who taught me not only how to make pasta, but also how to speak more naturally. We laughed, cooked, and shared stories. It didn't feel like a lesson, it felt like life. Language connected us in such a beautiful way. After Italy, I traveled to Brazil, Japan, and even Morocco. I didn't become fluent in every language, but I learned enough to connect with people, to understand their world, and to share a peace of mind. The world was no longer far away. It was home. With every country I visited, I became more confident. I realized that language is more than just grammar. It's culture, emotion, history. It's the way we relate to one another. And I had become someone who could step into many different worlds with respect and curiosity. My dream wasn't just about travel. It was about becoming a global citizen. Someone who listens, learns, and connects. And every time I bought a ticket or started learning a new language, I felt more alive than ever. Chapter 5: A Message to Dreamers. Looking back, I can hardly believe how far I've come. From a small room with a notebook and a dream, to speaking 6 languages and visiting more than 15 countries. It wasn't easy. I had to be my own teacher, cheerleader, and guide. But I wouldn't change a thing. The most important lesson I've learned is this: you don't need to be rich or a genius to chase your dreams. You just need to be determined, creative, and patient. Use what you have, believe in yourself, and never stop learning. Progress is slow, but it's real. If you're reading this and you have a dream, especially if it seems impossible, please know that it is possible. No one believed in me at first, but I believed in myself, and that made all the difference. Start with small steps, stay consistent, and celebrate every victory, no matter how small. Now, I help others do what I did. I share resources, stories, and encouragement online. I want people to see that if I could do it, so can they. Language learning changed my life, and I hope it can change someone else's too. Thank you for listening to my story. My name is Isabella, and I'm still learning, still exploring, and still dreaming. And wherever you are in your journey, I'm cheering for you. Chapter 6: Building a Life Around Languages. As I continued to travel and grow, I realized that languages were no longer just a hobby for me, they were becoming my life's work. People began to reach out to me, asking how I had managed to learn so many languages on my own. At first, I just answered casually, giving advice and sharing tools I had used. But over time, I understood that my journey could actually help others. So I decided to create a blog and a small YouTube channel where I could share my methods, my struggles, and the deep joy that came from learning and connecting with others. The more I shared, the more I discovered how many people also had dreams like mine, but felt stuck. Some were afraid to even start. Others didn't believe they were smart enough or had enough time. I saw myself in each of them, and I made it my mission to show them that everything is possible with the right mindset and persistence. I started creating language guides, beginner playlists, and motivational videos. not just about grammar, but about mindset, fear, and self-discipline. I wasn't an expert with a degree, but I was living proof that passion and effort could move mountains. At the same time, I started offering private online lessons, not only in English or French, but in how to learn more effectively. I focused on helping people build habits, stay consistent, and fall in love with the process. Many of my students were surprised at how quickly they improved once they changed their attitude. I taught them that it's okay to make mistakes, that failure is part of the journey, and that progress isn't always visible at first, but it's always happening. Watching others grow became one of the most fulfilling parts of my life. Through my work, I was invited to speak at online conferences and cultural events. I met people from all over the world who, like me, believed in the power of language to unite us. I spoke about how languages helped me overcome fear, gain confidence, and create a life of freedom and purpose. I never imagined that my personal journey could inspire so many people, but it did. And that inspired me to keep going even further. By now, I wasn't just traveling. I was building relationships, collaborating with creators, and planting seeds in communities that valued connection and education. I had created a new life for myself, one that looked nothing like what I had grown up with. And yet, it was everything I had ever dreamed of. A life full of words, people, cultures, and stories. A life I built one phrase, one lesson, one step at a time. Chapter 7. Challenges along the way. Even though my journey sounds beautiful, it wasn't always easy. There were many moments of doubt, fear, and loneliness. Learning a language on your own can feel like climbing a mountain with no map. There were times I wanted to give up, especially when I reached plateaus or when people didn't take me seriously. The worst part was the inner voice that sometimes whispered, "You're not good enough," or "Who do you think you are?" But I learned to silence that voice with action. One of the hardest moments was when I traveled to Japan. I had been learning Japanese for a year, and while I could understand basic conversations, I felt overwhelmed by how different everything was. I got lost on the train, misunderstood directions, and struggled to explain myself in shops. I cried in my hotel room more than once, feeling like maybe I had reached my limit. But deep inside, I reminded myself of why I started, and I pushed through. Overcoming those moments gave me more than any book ever could. They taught me resilience. They taught me that real learning doesn't come from being perfect. It comes from trying again after failing. Every embarrassing mistake became a memory. Every awkward sentence became part of my story. I wasn't collecting languages like trophies. I was living through them. Each struggle made the victories even sweeter. Another challenge was balancing my time and energy. As I began teaching and creating content, I sometimes forgot to take care of myself. I would spend hours editing videos, writing lessons, and answering messages, all while learning new languages and traveling. Burnout hit me more than once. I had to learn how to rest without guilt, how to say no, and how to ask for help. That was one of the hardest lessons of all, but one of the most important. In the end, the challenges shaped me into someone stronger, more grounded, and more compassionate. I no longer feared mistakes. I welcomed them. I no longer saw fear as a barrier. I saw it as a signal that something meaningful was ahead. And I no longer needed to prove anything to anyone. I was walking my own path, and that was enough. Chapter 8. Looking toward the future. Now, as I look to the future, I feel more excited than ever. There are still so many languages I want to learn, so many cultures I want to experience, and so many people I want to meet. I've recently started learning Arabic. It's one of the most beautiful and rich languages I've encountered so far. It's difficult, yes, but that's what makes it worth it. Every time I open my notebook and practice the new script, I feel like a beginner again, and I love that feeling. My dream has grown beyond myself. I want to build a global community of learners who support and inspire one another. I want to open language and cultural exchange centers in different countries where people from all backgrounds can come together and connect. I also dream of writing a book about my journey, something honest, personal, and useful. I want others to see their own story in mine and believe in their potential. I've learned that the world is not as big and scary as it seems. When you speak someone's language, even a little, their eyes light up. A wall disappears. A bond is formed. That's the magic of languages. They create understanding where there once was distance. I want to keep being part of that magic every day, in every corner of the world. To the younger version of myself, the girl who dreamed in silence and practiced English in her room, I would say this: thank you for believing. Thank you for not giving up. Because of you, I'm living the life we imagined together. And to everyone out there with a dream in their heart, I say this: start small, stay consistent, and don't stop believing. This journey is far from over. In fact, I feel like I'm just getting started. There's still so much to explore, so much to share, and so much to learn. And if I can do it, someone with no special resources, just a dream and determination, then so can you. Chapter 9, Giving Back. As my platform grew, I began to understand that this journey wasn't just about me anymore. It was about the people who were walking similar paths. I had received so much from others during my journey: encouragement, knowledge, and kindness. Now it was my turn to give back. I started offering free online workshops for beginners who didn't know where to begin. I wanted to be the voice I once needed, the voice that says, "You can do this, no matter where you come from." I also began volunteering with refugee programs, helping displaced families learn basic English and navigate their new lives. These were some of the most powerful experiences I've ever had. Language wasn't just about travel anymore. It was about survival, about dignity, about rebuilding a future. Sitting across from a mother learning how to ask for help in a new language reminded me of the true power words can have. It humbled me deeply. Through these experiences, I saw how language could heal, empower, and transform. I met people who had been through so much pain, and yet they smiled as they learned how to say, "Hello, my name is," in a language that was not their own. I taught them, but they also taught me. They taught me courage, gratitude, and how precious communication really is. Those moments changed how I saw my mission. So I started creating content specifically for people in vulnerable communities, short videos, printable guides, audio lessons. I partnered with organizations to distribute them for free. I knew I couldn't help everyone, but if I could reach even one person who felt lost or alone, it would be worth it. My dream became something bigger than travel or even fluency. It became about creating opportunities, real, life-changing opportunities for others. This part of my journey has been the most meaningful. It showed me that everything I've learned, everything I've struggled through, can now be used for good. I still travel, I still study, and I still share my adventures, but now I do it with a deeper purpose. Not just to see the world, but to help shape it into a kinder, more connected place. Chapter 10. The Journey Continues. Today, I sit here writing this, surrounded by books in different languages, messages from students across the globe, and memories of places that once lived only in my imagination. My life is full, not because it's perfect, but because it's meaningful. Every moment, every challenge, every breakthrough has brought me closer to who I truly am. And I know now that the journey will never truly end, because learning, growing, and connecting never stop. People often ask me what the secret is, how I managed to stay motivated all these years. The truth is, there's no secret, just love. I love languages. I love people. I love the feeling of learning something new and using it to build a bridge where none existed before. That love is what keeps me moving forward, even when progress is slow or when life gets hard. I still set goals. I'm currently working on mastering Arabic and learning basic Swahili. I dream of visiting East Africa, of walking through open markets and chatting with locals in their own tongue. I also want to build my own language academy one day, a space that welcomes everyone, no matter their age, background, or resources. A place where dreams are nurtured through words. More than anything, I want people to know that this life, the one I live now, was once just a dream. A dream I held close when no one else could see it. A dream I protected through doubt, tears, and hard work. And if I could make it real, so can anyone who dares to believe and take action. The world is wide, yes, but it becomes smaller, more beautiful, and more welcoming when we learn to speak to each other. So here I am, Isabella, a girl from a small town who once whispered foreign words into the dark, hoping they would carry her somewhere far away. And they did. They carried me into a life full of purpose, people, and possibility. And I hope, wherever you are reading this from, that your words will carry you too, into the life you were meant to live.